I'm really happy that I'm here with the two of you today, so thank you for being here. Mona June and Nema June, thank you. And thank you for opening up your home to do this today. I know that we have had lots of conversations about relationships, and everybody listens to you talk about food, and I thought it would be, and spirituality, and I thought it would be really awesome if we could have a conversation that combines love and food and prayer, and that each of us really gives our own take on what we think that represents to us. Nema, if you don't mind, I'll start with you.
Sure.
What is love for you?
Inwardly or outwardly?
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Whichever one you want to go with first.
I would say, as I've gotten a little older, more mature, as I like to say, I would say that comfortability in my own skin is really important. I think I struggled with that when I was younger. I think knowing who you are and then finding somebody who appreciates who you are. You know, as you know, I was married. You were very helpful in helping me navigate conversations at that time. And I think just understanding when somebody doesn't, or we weren't ready to accept each other for who we were, it creates a lot of tension.
It gets messy.
It gets messy. You start to like overcompensate and try to change things about yourself. And I think at this very beautiful stage of my life now, it's an almost immediate filtering where if I meet somebody and if I can't be myself, that self-love doesn't go outwards and they don't accept it, then we're just not right for each other. So it's actually very connected in that respect. But just being myself is the most important thing.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
So this is really awesome, so thanks. So my experience with men has been that men actually have an internal guide that tells them what's right and what is honorable, and that's their inner compass, and that if they lose that, they feel like in order to please us, they feel like they've given up a part of themselves.
Yeah,
and it doesn't ultimately work out.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I guess maybe I operate from such a unique perspective on this, where I think my sense of calm and my sense of being appreciated are very important to me. So I need to feel like someone trusts me and has an admiration for me, and I think that's something that is earned, not given. And I think that when I feel, and it's happened in the past where relationships aren't protected and that admiration is lost, then yes, I feel a overreaching, a bit need to like try to go get that, and it doesn't work. I'm a firm believer that, maybe you'll feel differently, that once that's gone, once you give up that equity, it's very hard to get it back.
I absolutely agree.
So I think it's one of those things that you go into a new relationship and you get to start from a clean slate where you have it. You know, ideally the person that you're dating is enamored with you, you're enamored with them, and if you don't protect that and you lose that, as a guy, you can literally feel it when a woman looks at you, and you can feel like a questioning in your judgment, or a questioning in, I mean, the way that you look at Gary in a lot of ways, right? Like I use that a lot.
Yeah, we know.
Right. But it's
obvious.
I do use that, and in my own life of like, oh, like I see the way you admire him. Maybe that's the right word.
Yeah.
And when that admiration is gone, as a man, trust me, you can feel it.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and I'll give you a little example. We were in, this is not a Nema show.
No, I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
I know.
we were.
We love it.
I was on a vacation with my ex-wife, who I adore. Don't want to say anything negative about. And we had rented a four-wheeler, and she sat behind me, and she didn't want me to drive, and she said, "I don't trust you to drive." And I thought, at the time, I didn't realize. It made me feel upset in the moment. But that was such a micro example of like what would go wrong between us, is that she just would never trust my judgment. And so as a man, to your point, you overcompensate to try to get it back. You'll buy expensive gifts, you'll do things that like you wouldn't normally do, and it creates this just perpetual anxiety that I just think if you didn't protect it up front and it's gone, are you supposed to just walk away at that point? Do you take the L and say I messed up? So I'm a firm believer that once you lose that, you don't get it back.
That is so great. I totally get that. Totally get that. And it's in line with everything that I teach about why it's so important in a relationship that we literally don't think that men and women, that women don't look at men and go, that's just a hairy woman over there, or that men don't look at us like we are the hairless version, that we are so, so different from each other, and that we really literally need to learn to speak each other's language. And what you just said, Nema, speaks to that so brilliantly, because as a woman, we think of things very differently. We are literally programmed to be pleasers, so we collect I think we collect what pleases everybody around us, so we think you should do the same thing. And if you don't, it means you don't love us and we're not important, and then we get hurt. So then what we do is we try to adapt because we're great adapters. That's how we survive as women. So we try to change ourselves so that it would please you. But then by doing that, if you still don't change, because you won't, to please us, then you really don't love us. And then the insanity continues, right? But what you just spoke to is, I want to be accepted and loved and admired for who I am. And that's when I thrive.
Yes.
And I think that's really incredible and wise. And yeah, I really get that. And Mona, what is it for you? Love.
Love.
So much is happening for you right now.
I know, I'm like, love. I'm in it. I really think this is the first time I've actually understood love, really, and been in love. I think it's someone just letting you be the best version of yourself. I feel like Gary has blossomed me into who I already was, but was afraid to show or was insecure with other people. And it's safety, it's passion, it's friendship, it's all of these things. We're always like, there's so many things combined into one. And what I've really learned this year about love, I've always loved him, but I think even more now, because now it's more selfless. Mm-hmm. Whereas before it was, let's say he was traveling to California and he would come back in the same day, in one day, just to be with me. And now I'm like, I don't want you to do that to your body. Before it was all about like, I want you here, I want you next to me.
Show me, show me, show me.
Yes, and now I'm like, I actually care about your well-being and how you feel, and you become more selfless. And I mean, that's loving outwardly. Self-love is a whole other thing that I've also learned in the last 2 years, and it's blown my mind how mean I used to be to myself. And now, I think when you operate from self-love, everything in your life operates from there. In terms of like what makes me happy, the food I eat, how I treat myself, the way I stopped criticizing myself. I used to look and nitpick every little thing, and now I'm like, that's so unkind. So both of them, I think, have their place.
Wow. You spoke to something that's really amazing. And Nema, because this is your sister sitting here, I think you see the changes also. What Mona was just speaking to is the blossoming that is taking place when someone loves you and loves you for everything that you are, and they're not attempting to chip away at you. Be more of this way so that I love you. Be more of like that so that I love you. But they like literally love you for everything that you are and everything that you're not, and they just keep loving that. There is a place where, as women, I think, we go, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
exactly.
right.
I'm like,
is that movie Waiting to Exhale?
Yes.
Right? Remember that movie, Waiting to Exhale? And then you just exhale. It's like, you love me? Yeah. It was like Sally Field, like, you love me, you really love me.
And it took, even like, as great as it's been this whole time, it still took a little bit of time where I'm like, oh, even more, like, let's say my sense of humor didn't fully come out. right away because I didn't feel safe enough. Maybe it wasn't cute. Maybe it's too goofy. It almost like physically doesn't come out of me. It's not even like I'm trying to not show my personality. But the safer I felt, whereas now I'm just like, this person loves me and my soul, and it's how I feel about him. It doesn't matter what he's doing, what he looks like.
So I don't have to nitpick at myself. What else can I do to be loved?
Exactly.
Right? How much more perfect can I get?
Exactly. If anything,
Do you love this part of me now?
if anything, it's the opposite. I think when someone loves you that much, they want you to stop nitpicking yourself and just be you. And I've noticed, because Nema's my brother, I think I've noticed in the recent people you've dated, that's what you care about. You're like, I want to be myself. I don't want to put on a show. I want someone to love me for me. And I'm so happy, because that's just, the other way doesn't last.
No.
Yeah, I think you also have to be ready for it at the same time. From my own personal experience, there were many years that I was interested in the wrong things, but I don't feel bad about that. I think that was part of my process that I had to go through, where I spent a lot of energy on looks as like a predetermining factor, so much so that I would make relationship decisions based on someone that I was attracted to, and I would sort of put the other things to the back burner. So I think you have to be ready to accept that kind of love, because there were girls in my past who wanted to, and I just wasn't ready to accept it, and it didn't work, and I also wasn't ready to like protect it on the other side as well. And that's another thing, is you can't just have someone show that affection to you and then not protect it and protect their feelings on the other side. And I don't know, for me, I think I just look at love in, going back to the self-love element of it. I think what oftentimes gets so overlooked is your mental state in all of this. I attach so much, this sounds so weird, but I attach physical fitness so much to love. And let me tell you why.
I'm like, what?
I attach the idea of when I work out, and
I totally
they know, they don't know, but they know, I was 50, 60 pounds heavier not that many years ago. I consistently felt bad about myself every time I would get ready. I'd look in the mirror.
So somebody says,
Self-love.
I love you, and you're like, you do?
Right.
What's wrong with you? You love me.
I hated photos. I would never do something like this in a million years. I would hated it. And when you lose the weight and you start to look in the mirror and you feel yourself a little bit, my sense of happiness goes up. And I found that there was a one-to-one correlation with how I looked and how happy I was. Now, this is superficial, but that was like a happiness layer that needed to be there to build on top of.
They go hand in hand. I think they totally go hand in hand, which is what we were going to get to with the food, which is, if I love myself, I'm putting in the right stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And my body knows that, and my body starts responding to that, and it knows it's being loved. And if I give it the right exercise and move it around and have it be active, again, it's because I love it and I care about it. And it may not start out like that, like I don't love it and I want to love it, but it's like I act as if until I become as if, so I keep doing it until it really gets to the part where I do love myself, and I'm doing it because I love myself, not because I'm fixing myself.
And
But I mean, there's nothing wrong with fixing yourself.
But it's also the most controllable thing in this equation. Like, you can literally, it's such an easy fix. Whereas maybe finding the right person, like in Mona's case, the Gary coming in, like that will play out and might take time. This is such an easy thing to be able to fix, and it really does kickstart this like journey of self-love. To your point about food, the right things you eat, the way you feel every day. I think positive energy attracts positive energy. So if I am feeling good and happy and I'm walking out, I like the way I look, I think you exude that confidence. And confidence is a real thing that people can detect, and I think you will then attract positive energy back. So again, I think it's all very interconnected. But yes, the food you put, the way you protect your body, it all attracts.
Well, it's all the same thing. I mean, Western medicine respects the fact that there's endorphins that happen when you exercise, but endorphin, it's like a chemical that makes you feel good. Feeling good is an energetic wave that you're putting out, and you draw in what you put out. So when you feel good, you feel happy, you feel accomplished, you're proud of yourself, it just makes you happier. And I don't think there's anything wrong with, I don't think it's vanity at all.
Mm-mm.
Self-love, wanting to feel good, look at yourself and feel good. I actually think you taught me this. The lens in which you look at it makes all the difference. So you could work out because you're like, I'm disgusting, I don't love myself, I need to lose weight, or I'm sick. This is
And
why
then I'll love myself.
Yeah, right? Even if I'm sick, so I don't feel well, or my body's not healthy, so I have to do these things, versus my body deserves this time. I've actually started to do this thing. It's a joke with me and Gary. I watched this, I learned about all these different blue zones in longevity, and one of the places, I forgot where it was like, they just are constantly moving. They're getting up, getting down, they're working, they're walking around, and they're like, just movement is so big for longevity. So then, we're like across the house, and let's say Gary wants a snack in the kitchen. It's literally motivated me now to get up and go versus being too lazy. I'm like, I'll get it later, someone go. I'm like, no, let me move. I love myself. I want to live longer, and the more movement I have in the day, the better.
It's totally that way. It really is. Emotion is energy in motion, and emotion is not feelings, but emotion is also an extremely important basis for feeling good. It's our hormones, it's our activity level, it's the feel good that we put into ourselves and get out of ourselves in response. It's not the same as feelings. They're quite distinct from each other in men as well as in women. They're in totally different places, even in our body, where our feelings are located. But I think, speaking to what you were saying about health, it is extremely important that we keep moving around. And then also coming back, Nema, one of the things that's been happening, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about helping men, is that the last 50, 60 years, I have watched a movement that doesn't really value or respect men. And so then men have started questioning themselves and kind of like wondering if they are really as bad as they're all made out to be, or aggressive, or unkind, or lacking in feelings, or inconsiderate, or and one of the things that I've noticed is that in a way it's been a good thing, because men have started to really look at what needs to grow and what needs to develop and what needs, like you said, to mature in me as a man. But also I think that there's a negative aspect to it where it has cost men their self-esteem and self-confidence, and in like beginning to question themselves, like, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing that? Whereas it used to be like they just trusted themselves and their gut instincts and their own honor, and they acted upon it. So one of the things that I've been really addressing a lot is that what you just said is, I want to trust myself and respect myself and love myself, and that self-love, when I'm in that place, pick somebody who also has the same feelings toward me. And I think that that's really valuable. I don't think in my own life that until I got to a place, a lot of people were like, why aren't you getting married? Why aren't you getting married? I was like, I don't think I'm ready. I don't really accept myself. And it would be really foolish to expect somebody else to love me enough to marry me for a lifetime when I'm not ready to marry me. And I think that was what you were speaking to. And then we got to that. I think when you got ready is when it all started working out.
It's pretty true. I actually remember a few months.
Sorry, 7:10.
Okay, we can be a few minutes late. Okay. I remember a few months.
This is too good.
It's too good, I know. I'm like, it'll be fine.
I'm like, okay, I'm taking notes.
A few months before it all happened, I remember us having a conversation, and you were like, now you're finally ready. You told me, like, from what you had seen in me, you felt like I was finally in a place, and I wasn't, even though I thought I was ready all those years. from the age 28, I was like, I want to find a husband, I want to get married, I want to find my person, but I wasn't actually ready, and I didn't love myself, and I wasn't blossomed into who I was.
You know what it was when I said you were really ready? You may find this interesting, because she's your sister, so you know her better than most people. No, Mona. You were ready to say no to everybody except yourself. And at whatever cost. Like, you were willing to just be for you.
Yeah.
And I think when a man or a woman, it gets to a place where it's like, I'm standing for me. And when I stand for me, other people will stand for me. But if I don't stand for me, what am I expecting you to love me? It doesn't work.
I am curious your opinion on this, because I remember, I think a mistake I made in my 20s was I didn't want to scare anyone off. You know, you have that bad relationship that ends up making you different in how you operate the other ones. And I was always like, well, I don't want him to think I don't want to scare him off by letting him know I'm looking for something serious, or that I'm too serious. And I remember you being like, but you should, at date one, ask what are your intentions. And I was like,
weigh out the ones that you don't
he's gonna think I'm crazy. And you were like, but why not weed them out now? And I'm curious your thoughts when you meet a woman and she's like, I want something serious, I'm looking for a partner. Does it scare you at all?
Not at all. Not even remotely. In
you're
fact,
in a good place.
I'm on like a very long-term, perpetual self-awareness journey where I try to operate at the highest level of self-awareness. And what I mean by that, because that sounds like a bullshit line, is understanding.
I was thinking it sounds like a great line.
Well, no, but it sounds like one of those things that's not real. But understanding when I'm the things that I don't like about myself and owning those things. And you've had a hand in helping me understand that. I'll give an example in a second. And honestly, Gary's had the hand. I just had a tough thing with a client recently, and I was pissed off. And he calls me. He's like, "You're upset because they want to go with a different director than you." And I was like, "Yes." He goes, "And you're upset about that?" I go, "Yes." And he goes, "It happens." Like it was like that,
so
right? And I was like, but it was
Suck
like,
it up.
and I was leaning into like kind of a bullshit rhetoric of like, no, like I can do a better. And he was like, "You're just upset that they're not using, like, you know, I think it happens." So, and then I always remember this example that you and I talked about. And this was the first like aha moment that my lens that I see the world is totally false. Was when I was going through my divorce. I think I told you this privately before. And I was really upset in a session with you, and I was talking about my ex-wife, and I was like, and you were just like, "You're upset." Same thing. See how that's you're upset. There's a pattern. You said you're upset.
At that time, you didn't calm down as fast.
No, and by the way, I was the most inclined not to hear this at that time.
You were
like with Gary now, I can hear it. I was so not in a place to hear it. You were like, "You're upset that she chose her happiness and you signed up to be unhappy forever." And it was this first like, wow, that's exactly right. I am annoyed at her. I was unhappily married. I was upset that she wasn't going to be continue to be like miserable with me.
Right.
And it was the first domino.
And you were willing.
I was willing. And so
we have the new house, the new
right.
So we can.
Right. And so it was the first domino in the like, oh wow, like there's a self-awareness journey. That's a very long-winded way of going back to your question of no, I from day one, second one, am so upfront with women. Even when I was the most casual dater, I was like, this is where I'm at. And I would have women thank me. Honestly, be like, it's just refreshing that a guy doesn't lie to us. And when I'd be like, this is where I'm at. I'm here to direct. I moved across country. I'm not in a place to get serious. This is my position. And they'd be like, you don't know how many guys lie to us, tell us nonsense. So if a woman were to come to me and say, hey, this is where I'm at, it would be the most refreshing thing in the world, because now we're just starting out as like I know where your cards are, you know where my cards are. And if we don't align forever and we want to just have a couple casual dates and call it a day, we can do that. If we don't even want to go down that road, we can make that decision. But nobody's feeling in the dark. And by the way, there was a girl in New York that I really liked a lot. Mona knows. Not gonna give her the hype, but I liked her. No, the first one.
I know exactly.
And I liked her a lot. And
I want to know.
And she sat down in my apartment. I didn't have furniture, and I was so excited to see her. We've been talking a little bit, and she goes, I was so happy to be around her. And I thought we were gonna like have a thing in New York. And she goes, just so you know, I'm dating like 3 other guys. She was like, she was out of a relationship. She's like, and I'm in my savage mode right now. And this is only gonna be just like at best a casual thing. And you're just gonna be part of the roster. I mean, as intense. And in the moment, I had to like suck it up and be like, it's great. You know?
I'm willing to be on the roster.
I was like dead on the inside. And it was, I look back at it now and I go, I really respect her doing that. Even though I don't want to hear it,
Yeah.
it was like a knife. I was like, oh my God. But at the moment, I'm like, if I had gone forward under the guise that we were going to be like hand in hand skipping down the street in the West Village, and I saw her with another guy on a date, I would be
my God,
devastated.
that would be devastating.
Devastating. So
Yeah.
even though you didn't want to hear it, like for her to just be so upfront and be like, this is where I'm at, take it or leave it, it was really refreshing to me because from that moment, my reaction was on me. If I were to get upset, that's on me. She did her part of it.
Yep.
So no, I think you have to accept and
I
appreciate
think
that.
men are so awesome. I really, really, really do. See, as a woman, I'm sitting here going, you know, if I was really into a guy and he would say that to me, I'd be sitting there going, yeah, you could be dating all those other girls, but I'm gonna make you want me exclusively. So I'd be getting in it, already scheming to get all those other girls like a run for it. Because I'm thinking I'll be better than them at this, and then I'll be better at them at that. But it doesn't work.
No,
That's the whole thing. It doesn't work.
No.
Whereas when I finally got to a place of self-love, and by the way, my husband did offer that to me. He was like, you know, I just got out of my 15-year marriage, and what I really want to do is date as many women as possible, and okay, no. And I was like, that's great. You should go do that, but I'm not the girl for it. I'm not willing to be in the lineup. So when you're done with that, you should call me, because I'm the serious one.
You know what I wish I would have done in that situation?
Right.
You know what I wish I would have done?
What?
See, I wasn't operating from a place of self-love at that time. I was operating from a place of my position.
I'll have her under any
right. And so my position was
just
like,
let me near you.
no, I played it like the cool guy who was unbothered, and I'm like, I kind of pulled away, and it was really hard for me to do that. And that was not true to me.
Yes.
If I was operating from self-love, I would have been like, hey, this is really hurtful for me because I really like you, and
Come
that's
back
okay.
to me when you want a
Right.
serious
Actually, to
relationship.
add
Right.
to this, I remember seeing a text chain between you guys, and you were like actually pretty cold. I was like, do you even like her? So you were trying so hard to be in the other direction of like whatever.
It's the same thing as the husband who's not, it's like you're overcompensating from the person who doesn't admire you, so you're going to go so extreme. Whereas if you leaned into your natural self-love energy, I would have owned it. I'd have been like, this is totally not what I want to hear. I think you're the best. I have a huge crush on you. This is obviously not what I want to know, but certainly if situation changes, let me know. But I like that would.
That's so attractive.
I 100%, like the amount I don't see that as taking an L, and I would have seen that as like walking away with my own dignity preserved, that I regret. Should I just text her right now? I'm sorry.
Yeah, right? I messed it up then. Can we have another run at this? But I tell you,
Yeah.
I went to so many of those experiences that when I finally got to my own center and I did meet Gregory, for me it was like, no, I will not compromise my self-love in order to be with you.
Yeah.
You get back to me when you're done doing that, whatever that is. And, you know, I mean, you've both met Gregory. You know, Gregory was like, you know, a girl tree. Like, girls were like, kind of like you. Girls were like all over him, you know. And he had never heard a woman say that to him. You know, women had never refused him. And he didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
So he was like, what? What's wrong with you? Like, you really? Like, you're not going to go out with me? And I was like, no, I'm not.
Yep.
I'm not going to go out with you. I'm not that kind of girl. That's not the kind of relationship I'm looking for. I'm not just going to go out with you and see what happens, because that's not my thing. It never was. I lied when I would say that it was, because it never was. So I was going against my own self-worth and my own values
Sure.
when I said that. And it costs something, you know, it costs something. Because we want to play cool and we think, you know, we're open-minded and all that, but are we really that
It's a lie.
open-minded? Yeah, it's a lie.
I remember even asking you once, it was some guy that I was dating. I feel like there was like 4 or 5 that were just, it was all bad. It was all the same thing. So much time
I
wasted.
remember
Yeah,
that.
you remember them. And I remember being like, well, I don't want him to think I care. And you said, why is it bad to act like you care? Why do you want to be a woman that doesn't care? If you're with a guy and then he doesn't call you back and you're supposed to just not care.
Right.
And
Well,
I'm
Yeah.
like,
why
such a
being
good point.
authentic?
I have
Yeah.
a build off of this. This is going to be another shout out to Gary. So I think every time I try to play it cool, I have lost
Yes.
spectacularly. And you're programmed to think that by playing it cool, that this is somehow attractive. And this is where I always tell people, like I'll tell Lauren this, like Gary is very much a big bro to me. I was the oldest sibling. I look up to him, and what I have seen him do and I've seen it with clients, I've seen it with relationships, is he owns the moment from a place of self-awareness, and he's not afraid to like address something that might make him look uncomfortable, or like he could say, hey, this sucks, I'm sad this happened. And that to me, and if you can own something bad that's happening in a way that's like, this is really upsetting, I'm sad this happened,
Yep.
it comes off so much cooler.
So I agree.
It comes off in a way that's like you're bothered, but in the micro, and unbothered in the
You're
macro.
hurt. He
Right,
always
you
did this
know?
thing like, that sucks, I'm sad, but like you're a lost big picture in a very kind way. That's kind of the energy you're giving.
Right.
And going back to this hot woman,
Yes. Yes.
you know, she was authentic with you and that made her attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you had hit the ball back authentically, that would have had 2 authentic people getting attracted. She would have remembered you as the one who wasn't willing to do whatever to be with her. And that's the power of authenticity.
Totally.
I think authenticity is the highest value we can give to ourselves, because at the moment that we're doing it is we're tipping our hat off to ourselves, like, I will not sell myself out to be with you,
Totally.
you know?
Yep.
And I think that that's, like when we talk about love, we can't have it without being authentic. That's self-love. It's like, I'll put myself out there for real.
Mm-hmm. I almost feel like the other situations, boyfriends that I thought I loved, maybe was infatuation, obsession. Like it was like I was trying to fill this void,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't like true love. There wasn't like that exhale and comfortability and safety.
Yeah, and like people who you can't be yourself, like you like started us off with such a great thing. People we can't be ourselves with, can we truly have love with them?
I don't think you can.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think you can
So-
actually. You lose the authenticity.
Right. Like if every time I'm with you, like you get upset because I'm being myself, then we can never really authentically have a relationship.
Because you love with your whole soul and your whole heart, and that has to come out when you're just really being yourself and feel comfortable.
Agreed.
I think we can safely wrap this up. I think we didn't talk as much about food and prayer as maybe we would have liked to, but this is all the time we have for today, and I am certain we're going to do this again, and I loved being with the 2 of you, so thank you so much. And I think Gary should be with us next time, because we keep talking behind his back and like, hello, there's more room on this couch.
He was basically here,
He
but
was
we want
basically
him
here.
physically here.
Right. And thank you, really, thanks a lot.
We love and appreciate you a lot.
This is like
Yeah.
the best evening for me, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.